Thank you guys. Move on. We have a couple of questions prepared, and at the end, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. Really, So, firstly, like whoever wants to ask, wants to answer. Sorry, what's the most important part of the application process as a new grad? Like, what did you find the most important or the most crucial step?
So for me, um, I definitely feel like the technical portion is very important. But for my personal experience and my new grad interview experience, I found that it also paid off a lot to pay attention to culture fit, behavioral, and especially the talk you have with the engineering manager. Typically, when you're interviewing for a new grad position, if you pass the technical, then you get put through a culture fit kind of engineering manager talk round. And for me personally, I found that getting through that round definitely helped propel me through the interview process. Researching the company that you're going to, figuring out what their culture is, maybe seeing if you can talk to some previous employees who are there, figuring out what they value. For me personally, I was looking for a software dev role at a music company, and I have been a musician since I was very young, so I made sure to emphasize that in my behavioral. Small things like that really help push you over the edge, in my opinion.
I'll carry over. So, technical skills, in my opinion, are the best solid foundation that you need to build in order to get a job, or you get to interview. It goes to your possible manager. It goes through HR. And frankly speaking, from my experience, HR they don't know anything about IT programming, whatnot. So I think the best approach to get into interview, at least, is to make sure that you check off all the marks that they have in the job description. So when you're looking for a job, you found a job posting, go through the list of skills that they're looking for, and make sure you emphasize those skills on your resume. But whatever skills you have, you don't have to lie. Please don't lie on your resumes. So you just emphasize those skills so that when HR, frankly speaking, non-technical person sees your resume, they're like, okay, I'm just going to compare this to our job posting, and they make sure that you are a good fit, right? And one more suggestions I have is to, if you, let's say, company asks for, I don't know, Java knowledge, right? And you have some Java programming skills, list it on that resume and go a little bit in depth. Show that you have actual hands-on experience working with Java, not just I have Java developer skills and that's it. Because that's very broad and that may scare them that you putting their on your resume just to get in. Put in some hands-on experience, and that definitely will help HR to make a good decision and see you as a solid candidate. Push you to the interview. But once you're in an interview, make sure that your technical skills are actually good as you advertise. But yeah, that's I guess resume is very very crucial in this process. Pass it on to Axel.
Hey guys. So, like Ethan said, culture fit is something that's important that I want to emphasize too, because sometimes you'll have some great candidates, right? They're super smart, they know their stuff, but then they're just not a pleasant person to work with. So you want to come off as somebody that, your manager wants to hire, right? Sometimes you have people with high egos and they'll say things that, will ruin their chances. So just be very careful what you say and make sure that your company you're applying for is a good culture fit for you. And then, like Stas said, tailoring your resume towards a specific job. So you may have like one resume, right? That may not be enough. You should have, let's say you're applying to a data engineering position, you should have a resume tailored towards those kind of positions. Let's say you have a front end posting. You should, tweak your resume a little bit, have different versions and emphasize your different skills. So if somebody's looking for a security analyst, put those skills on there. Don't really put them still, but put more emphasis on those. And the other thing I want to talk about is for large companies, usually they're not the ones that do the initial screening. They'll hire a third-party company to go through all the hundreds or even thousands of resumes they receive and just weed out a bunch of them. So the first thing that you should know is your resume should be readable by a computer. It's called ATS. And if your resume doesn't get parsed and can't be read by a computer, oftentimes that's going to eliminate you from a bunch of jobs. While you could have been a good candidate. So that's the one thing I'd make sure that you really check. There are online checkers, or even when you apply on Workday or other sites like that, sometimes they'll parse your resume and make sure that it's actually getting parsed properly. One thing. Number two is how you format your resume. So making sure you have the right content. So usually you have your education, your skills, your internships, for example, your projects, and maybe you have something else like your passion, your interests. Ethan said he was interested in music, so that could be something good to have on there as well. Um, Spelling mistakes. Some people are picky about it. Not everyone is. Some managers don't care, but some will care. So make sure you go over it, making sure you're not missing any commas or making spelling mistakes. You never know who's gonna look at this and say, "Nope, I want this person to come here." And I also want to say a different thing is when you put something on your resume, you should be able to talk about it. So I was part of some interviews for my company at RBC. We interviewed some co-op students. And oftentimes at this stage, in your education or career, you're gonna have projects on there. Now, what happens a lot of times is you work on these projects in a group, right? There's three of you. Let's say somebody does the back end, somebody does the front end, and third person does something else. Now, on your resume, you say, oh, I did the back end, the front end, and I did this and that. And you come to the interview stage, and they ask you, so how did you do the front end? What kind of tools did you use? What languages? How did you connect it to the back end? But you didn't work on it. So you freeze there, and it's like, you don't know what to say. So whatever you put on your resume, you should be able to talk about it, right? Because anybody could ask you about it. And if somebody asks you about a project and you put the part that Michael did and I didn't do it and I have no idea what he did, what am I going to be able to say? And that's going to throw them off. So I think just having that resume ready and tailored and have people look at it too, right? Because I'd write my resume, but then I'd show it to other people and they tell me, oh, you should take this out, you should add this in. And these are really important things because it comes down to just small things sometimes. So that's what I can, I guess, advise is really make your resume good before you apply.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I think that sums up a lot. So I'll just add some other things that are also important for the whole process because ultimately every part is going to be important. And if you fail on any part, you will not get the job. So some other things I think that are very important are networking. So like going out, like just even meeting friends, like if you guys are applying together and you kind of share different job postings, I think that's like super helpful. Um, yeah, because you could find like someone will see a posting, you could share it, you could all apply. That allows you to find more postings. Also, just going out, meeting people, that's another great thing. And then the other thing that's really important for like online assessment, so lead code, you got lead code questions. That's like I don't know what lead is. It's like that unprofessional expensive programming questions, and you have different like algorithms, all those things, different things get asked on interviews. And like most companies, they give you this online assessment. There's many different formats like code signal hackering. But yeah, they use the results of those online assessments to decide whether you'll be booked in. Like even recently, I referred a friend to a company as an internship, and he wasn't able to go through because he failed on the ground. So that also happens. So especially if you're like at first year or like second year, I think it's like really helpful to start now to solve questions because then you can kind of build up the patterns. And the more you solve, the more you're prepared for that once the time comes where you can actually like apply and stuff and get those assessments. Yeah, and the other thing I think I would say is like mock interviews. I think that's super helpful to prepare before your interview. So I've used there's a platform called Ram, and for like practice makes perfect. But it's like a peer interviewing platform that's fully free. I've used it. you can use it to like, you can go there and it's like, you can find other people and you can just join and they'll mock interview you, you'll mock interview them. And that way, like each person gives each other feedback, you can kind of practice all that. I think that's another like really helpful thing to practice. Um,
All right, awesome. Thank you guys. That was some great advice. Moving on, could two of you guys please answer what do you think helped you get a job at your current company?
Sure, I can go.
I'll go first. I guess I'll, just speak loud. Yeah. So as I mentioned, currently I'm working with TOT Security and I'm a rating company. How did I get there? Is through PY. Many of you probably I think that a lot of first year students. How do you go through PY? Make sure you're ready. But I think that is going to an experience. All of the point 30 students. During my interview, really catching small teams going like fireball. That just shows how passionate feel. Not really over the edge or interviews. I think that was crucial. Also, about programming skill, but very important role for you. Maybe you want 3 years. So exciting. So if at any point of your study at UTM you decide to go cybersecurity, make sure you tackle what made a big change. Cisco associate. Field or life story. I started university in 2019, and then COVID hit in 2020. So I did, my CCNA certificate by myself home, and then I finished it in June. And in August, someone reached out to my LinkedIn profile and offered me a cybersecurity job, systems administrator job at a company that uses our company. So I was able to, my first year, I didn't finish the degree, but I already had a job. I was working there full time, and since university was online, I was able to study and work. So and build your experience right away. So that by the time you graduate, you already have certain years of experience in the field that actually complements your degree. So yeah, practical hands-on experience and knowledge about the processes is very crucial. You have to show it that you're actually passionate about your career, that you spend extracurricular time on improving your knowledge, improving your skills in that field, and that will definitely help you very, very by a lot. Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah.
So you mentioned the Cisco one. Like there are okay, so there's like Coursera, Udemy, all those other ones. Like how wow, how would you pick like which ones to focus on?
So again, I'm talking more about cybersecurity because I have more experience in this field. But there's this website that shows like entire map of all the certificates that exist in cybersecurity field, and they separate them by areas. Which for example, if you're really passionate about networking and you want to be a systems administrator, there's a column that outlines all the certificates that cover that area of specialties, right? And there are certain certificates in the area, in the cybersecurity field that cover like all of those fields, right? I will share that website. Sure, I have it on my phone. I don't remember the name exactly, but I'll share it after the speak the speech. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, just a question.
Yeah, that's one more.
Yeah, one more would be great. Also, could you please use the mic? Because we're doing it hybrid and the people like online can't
Can't
hear.
hear, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sorry, people online.
No, it's all good.
I can keep mine pretty short and sweet. Essentially, for those of you in first year, the thing that will get you your first internship is applying a bunch and doing some school projects and showing that you have a passion for coding outside of just school. So any side projects that you have, I know for me having a personal website that I built mine in the second year definitely helped a lot with my first internship. And the thing that will get you your subsequent internships as well as your new grad job is the amount of impact that you're able to have in your first internship. So in your first internship, try to really seek out opportunities that let you have an impact on the company. In my second internship, I was able to participate in this Wide hackathon where we were able to build a feature that ended up being implemented pretty globally in the company, which definitely was one of the things that I was asked the most in my new grad interviews. So I would say that in terms of your first internship, just apply everywhere and have passion. In terms of subsequent ones, make sure that you have mentioned on your first internship. Good question.
This is for Eva. If you could remove 80%, if you could, if you could remove 80% of the components of the typical job search process, what would you remove?
So you keep 20%. What I would keep is. So do you mean from the employer side, or like if I was trying to hire?
If that's more useful, I was thinking more from your side, but if you have both, if there's not enough for you to talk about, then still.
Okay, I think if you're really trying to optimize and cut out like 80% of your downtime, then I would say really, really try to optimize for a specific company that you want, look for what technologies they want, focus your efforts in making projects towards those technologies, focus on their mission statement and their culture, and try to find a referral. Referrals save you a lot of time. I personally have not cold applied to too many places. That's just like sending in your resume on LinkedIn. I do that. I got my first internship through that, but subsequently most of the places I got were through referrals and networking. That saves you a lot of time.
So really focus on a few, like not literally a few, but maybe a few dozen companies you really want to work at rather than casting a wider net. Is that something you did?
For me personally, yes. Different people have different strategies. I have some friends that sent out hundreds of applications and then they just pick the ones they got. For me, definitely trying to hone in and narrow your resume, kind of alter it towards these companies personally help you out. Oh.
Yeah, just wanted to mention something cool. So since a lot of you are in first year, I'll tell you how I got my first internship. There's this website called CLNX, and it's a U Toronto website. That's where I was able to find a position that wasn't super exciting. I was migrating some old databases to this newer platform. Nobody wants to really do it. They have a co-op do it, and there wasn't much programming. And I spent the first 2 months of my internship doing that. And after that, I was able to have a talk to a manager, and I mentioned, hey, I'm interested in programming. Can I do some programming tasks? So I've gotten through, this worst opportunity, right? Just copying a bunch of things over. It wasn't exciting. And I told them, like, hey, can I work on something else? Are there any programming things I can do? And luckily, yes, they said yes. I was able to work on some programming in Azure and Python stuff. And from there, I put that on my resume. And that helped me out get my second job. Yes. It's called CLNX. Yeah. So just search up CLNX U of T and I'm sure you'll find it. Also, another thing that plays a major role in your application is how good or bad the market is. The economy recently has not been the best over the past year, 2 years, right? When we were applying, it might have been different. We are applying out of 2019, 2020. it was different at the time. So that's also something, be mindful, like you may have to apply to more places, or you might have, our luck might have been better. That's also something that contributes to it. Yeah, just wanted to point that out quickly.
Okay, we have a question from the Discord for you guys. Someone's wondering how you guys manage to find extra time for side projects while studying your programs.
So one great thing when it comes to side projects is you can actually take project courses at UTM, and you can do that first year, second year, and you can literally walk up to like profs, and if you have a good idea, just go up to profs and ask them like if you have an idea, just walk up to them and be like, "Okay, can I do a project course with you?" And if you can get a group together, you can just talk to the prof, bring up your idea, and then you can go through the entire course and just implement the project you want. And so I did that for 2 courses, and that's how I had 2 projects on my resume. I just did the project courses with a few friends, and yeah, we spent the entire semester making this full projects, and then those projects went on my resume, and it's a great thing to talk about afterwards.
Yeah, like, what do you mean by project?
So 392, 393, 492, 493, that's the course code. So if you have an idea, you can just go to a prof and you just propose your idea, the prof can approve. And if they approve your project, and then you can go through the course and actually do the project you want. And the way it works usually is every week you have a meeting with the prof and you just share your progress. And yeah, and then if it's good, like they give you feedback or something, it just goes like that, like half-an-hour meetings. At the end, it ends up being like a very easy A+ as well, as long as you did your work. So it's a very nice courses to take. I have a friend who took like 5 of those. I personally took like 3 of them. So yeah, it's like super cool.
Also give me credit for your
Yes, counts.
I also took those. I would also recommend them.
All right, thank you so much, guys. Moving on. From your observations, what is a skill an ideal successful applicant has? What did you do to get the job? So if some of you guys could answer this, it'd be great.
Yeah, so just going back to what I mentioned before, try to put yourself in the recruiter's shoes. Look at the job description, look at what they're looking for, and almost like a puzzle piece, try to build your resume in a way that fits into the piece perfectly. They're only going to spend a couple seconds looking at your application, so you want to make yourself look like a perfect fit. I would say that to me, an ideal successful applicant is someone who fits really well at the company, both culturally and technologically, as well as someone who's fairly well rounded. One of the things that I was actually asked about a lot during my interviews was my time as an executive of MCSS, which is the Mathematical and Computational Sciences Society here. So definitely lots of technical skills, but also a pretty good culture fit and a well-rounded individual.
We can move on. Yeah.
So to get my job, I'll talk about that. I had 3 rounds. The first round was simply I have questions, just to make sure that I can actually code and I'm not lying on my resume. The second interview, I took this course called CSE 409. It's called Scalable Computing here at UTM. And we did a project it's called a URL shortener, and we scaled it to thousands or even millions of users. In my second interview, they just come to us with a project that you've done it before and present it to us. I presented that project I did here at UTM. I told them exactly what I did, how I did it, how I worked, what tools, what technologies I used, and that sold it for them. So there are a lot of courses here that you can take that are going to be super useful. And those are especially the 3rd and 4th year courses. So it might still be early for some of you guys. But if you have any questions about, what courses you should take, come to us maybe after this, ask us which ones were helpful, because a lot of them were really helpful to me and really helped me out.
First, we'll take your questions, Larry.
My question is regarding the previous question that you asked, and you need to be right. Sorry, but Sagar, so you said that we must focus on our first internships so that if we like do well on that one, then it's a better chance to get second or third one well. But what if like where most of the times the companies want you to come back in the second internship or the third internship? Do you guys recommend staying in the same company for all three internships or however much you have?
Well, that's a personal question, and that really is up to you. If it's a dream company and one that you really like staying at, you love the culture, the pay's good, you like what you're working on, you're passionate, then by all means. Stay. However, if you do a really good job at the company and they want you to come back, but you think that you've kind of grown as much as you can, especially in internships, your job is to grow, and you want to move on and work on other technologies or see what a different company is like, then that's really up to you.
You had a question?
Yes, so my question is, if you're kind of like casting out your net to like, okay, I'm applying to full stack roles and web developer roles and DevOps, like a bunch of stuff. What would you say that like the type of side projects you focus on should also be varied? Or you'd have to have like, okay, so since I'm doing this back end thing, I have to like have projects where I like exclusively focus on the back end part.
Well, I think it depends. So I think Stan, as we mentioned earlier, like you could do tailored resumes. It's like for each job you can have your own thing. But it will be lots of projects you have to make if you have to do different projects for each one. So I would say if you have some generic like projects that you can kind of like maybe it's one project, but in your resumes you can mention the aspects more related to that posting. Like you can use keywords from the job posting and you can put them into those postings. I think that would be a good idea. So yeah, like kind of there's like if you worked on front end and back end, if you're applying to a back end position, you can emphasize the back end work and talk about like databases and anything related to that. But if you're applying to front end, then talk about more the user interface and any technologies like that. So you can tailor it based on your resumes. But yeah, I wouldn't make like projects for each position. That probably would take you a lot of time. Just make a few like good projects, I think.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys. That was so insightful. Um, so should I consider grad school, master's or a PhD, or even delay my graduation in case I can't find a job? We see like a lot of people in today's market suffering. Like you guys said, there's a downturn in the market currently. So a lot of people are coming up with the question like, hey, should we delay our grad? So what do you guys think?
So I wasn't thinking about doing grad school when I was at university, but then in the last semester I decided to go for masters. So I'm actually starting my masters in January
Oh,
2024.
congratulations.
But speaking of, should you delay your graduation if you cannot find a job? Honestly, I mean, it's a personal opinion. I don't think so. I think you should still go and graduate because you're losing your precious time that you will not be able to revert back. Um, Even if you cannot find a job, go and graduate, build off your, practical knowledge, your hands-on experience, show that you're passionate for your field, and in that case, you will be able to land your job 99.9%. So, I think in case you cannot find a job, you should go for something for the job opportunity that has your skills that you already have as a requirement, even if it's not your dream job. You have to understand that you have to start up with some build your experience, and it's very often that some bigger companies like Google, Microsoft, giant tech giants, they require you to have experience working with some enterprise tools, enterprise level tools, right? Which you don't have access like at all while you still university. So the best way to gain that experience is to go maybe not for the dream job, for the okay job, right? But that will help you to build off your skill set, to help build you off your experience with enterprise grade level tools. So then once you have like half a year working with those tools, you're feeling that you're familiar with them. It will not only boost your resume, it will boost your self-esteem. You'll be like, yeah, I know what I'm working with. I know how to do things in this environment with this tool, and that will definitely help you to pass your interview and to get the job that's way better, quote unquote dream job. Yes.
So Stas mentioned the CCNA before, and this may not be the right one for, software development position. But let's say you're interested in network or security. I'll tell you how. So that's how he got his first job, right? So he got the CCNA and then he was able to get a job out of it. I asked my manager, how did you get your first job? And he said he graduated, just like us, finished a computer science degree. He went to the interview at our company, then he failed it. And he told them, I'll get my CCNA and then I'll come back to you guys. So he did that. He came back, he showed the skills, and that's how he was able to get it. So those certificates are pretty useful. And if you want to go into software engineering, you might need some cloud stuff, right? There are a lot of cloud certifications out there that you can do. So those are good, and it shows you that you're willing to go above and beyond to get that job and get those extra skills. Because it comes down to competing against other people, right? Essentially, like that's the harsh truth. You're gonna be competing against people that have whatever kind of experience or and so on. So I would actually recommend those certificates. A lot of people say don't do them, but I think they do bring in a lot of valuable skills.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Axel. So we have a little bit time left for Q&A with the panel. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Any of you actually who wants to answer? Well, that depends on the question. What personal habits, if taken out of your day, what personal habit, if taken out of your day, would reduce your ability to do what you do well by 50%? Get enough sleep, I think. I didn't get enough sleep. I know a lot of people at university try to, sacrifice sleep for assignments or grades or whatever. For me personally, if I don't get like 8 hours of sleep, I'm just dead the next day, and like I lose way more than the hour extra than I would have gotten. So for me, definitely, I can't function without a healthy sleep schedule.
I'll just add, I don't know if that's a skill, habit. It's more like a trait. Be responsible. Because a lot of people nowadays I've noticed, if they don't really like the task they are assigned to, they're becoming less responsible. They're like, oh, let's delay the deadline by a few days, or this and that happened. I might not be able to deliver it by deadlines. What makes you stand out in the company out of the other employees is your dedication. There is a term called entrepreneur, and there is a term called intrapreneur, someone within the company. If the manager sees that you're dedicated, that you're responsible, even if you're lacking on the technical side, those two traits already set you over the edge comparing to other employees. So dedication and being responsible. I would say those are the main two traits. I don't know if you call them habits, they're traits to success.
If you have an example, actually, could you give an example of a time where or every day where being dedicated or responsible is very important to you? Like, and if you weren't dedicated or responsible, you wouldn't be able to.
Do you want me to answer or Axel? I'm okay. I have an answer.
Yeah.
Pick your favorite. Yeah, pick the favorite.
Pick your choice. Pick your choice. They're all amazing.
I'll go quick about this one. So, in the cybersecurity field, we have a lot of SOC tickets that have been coming. Basically, those are like minor incidents, but most of them are benign, but they still are required to be investigated. And so we have our SOC system where all those tickets are generated. And honestly, that's a tedious task. No one really wants to go through the pile of benign tickets. So I've noticed some of my team members are spending less time on that activity. Whereas I just said for myself, okay, this has to be done, not everyone likes it, but it has to be done by the end of the day. So I just dedicate like, I don't know, whenever I log in the morning, like 1 hour or so, I say to myself, okay, I'm gonna go through these tickets, get them solved because that has to be done. That's it. Point. Period. So like by the end of the year, we have a performance review session, and I'm already getting comments from my managers that, oh, you know what, we just recently logged into this sub system, and every system keeps track of statistics, users, so tickets, SLA breaches, and then etc. And they're saying like, oh, we see that you close like most of the tickets. That's very good. That's great. And they personally said, I'll be honest with you, I can count on you. I can assign you a task, and I know that you don't need a micromanagement. You can manage yourself. So that's already gives you, once you dedicate it to that specific task, you show that you're responsible. So from manager's perspective, it shows that you don't need to be managed. They can give you more freedom in whatever you're doing, and, stuff like that.
You need to like, as someone who's not in cybersecurity, like bottom of the barrel tasks to do, like really, they're not
It's just
tedious to like most people.
it's just a lot of tickets getting generated, and I would say 95% of them are denied. It's just user logged in from I don't know, outside of countries of operations, or someone ran a weird PowerShell script on their machine, but that was like service desk user, and it's benign tickets. So no one wants to really go and waste their time investigating, because you have to, for all tickets that are potentially malicious, you have to file a report. So you go, if the ticket's benign, you close it, put that aside. But if the ticket is malicious, you have to file a report. You have to list all your findings, all the steps you've taken, and how you eradicated the threat, etc., etc., etc. So that takes time. So people would rather you do some technical stuff, like spin up a server or configure a server or something.
These are the most tedious tasks.
I would say so.
Thank you.
In other words,
Yeah, just want to add on to that actually. I asked people at my company, how did you guys end up where you are? I asked one of the VPs, like, how did you end up as a VP? And he told me, like, yeah, when he was just starting out at the company, he would, do a lot of things that people don't want to do. He would go like above and beyond and show that he's reliable and willing to do those things. And that gets noticed also. I asked other people, how did you get into the company? Oh, we used to work together at a different company. And they were reliable. So one guy moved over and just brought, some other guys with them. And same for me. If I was a hiring manager, what could I do? I could either go through my resume or applicants, or hey, maybe I knew Stas or Michael are looking for a job and I've worked with them before. And I know they're reliable people. So what am I going to do? I could reach out to them. Maybe they're looking for a job and I could bring it with them. So that kind of ties back to networking too. It's super important, and making those connections, getting to know people, staying in touch with people, right? You work with people at university, guys. Add each other on Discord, LinkedIn, phone number, like whatever you guys want. Just keep in touch. You never know when you'll need each other at this point.
Yeah, thank you so much. Oh, sorry, we don't have we have another event that's happening right here after. But yeah, but we need to set up for that. So if you have any more questions, feel free to approach any of these lovely people during the networking lunch. But thank you so much to everyone for coming here and for spending this night. Yeah. Next we have in this room, next we have the resume critique blitz. And then in NN 1210, which was where the opening speech was, we'll have career counseling. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I would love to.
You know all about these effects. You gotta get certified. Yeah. Him and I. Where? What's the pickup? You want the depth test? Sure, let's do it there.
Wait, I'll push it to the first slide.
what else do we have for that? So,
Yes, I'll explain to you how the queue works. Thank you so much,
Pleasure.
Axel. Thank you so much for coming, man.
No worries. Man.
Appreciate it, bro. It's fun, right? Yeah. I wish we had more time for questions. Okay, so how the queue is managed is that what's it called? Uh,
I guess they're working.
yeah, they already I don't know what's going on. Okay, yeah. So for the queue, right? Deeper tree. So for the queue, what's going to happen is that you're gonna write the queue on the board. There's gonna be a queue. I spell queue. Right? So then you're gonna write their names, right? And then you're just gonna know who's first in line, who's not first in line, and then you're just gonna go accordingly.
How should I get there? I could write it down on a piece of paper and then bring it back up.
Yeah, if you want, or you just like, or whoever's in line first, just write their name and then just cross it out as they move. That's what we're
Are
doing.
they gonna be sitting down?
I think so. So
I could just like,
you know who it's called you know who's doing it right?
I think it's the previous speaker
Yeah.
plus career.
Okay, awesome. So, yeah. Have a list accordingly, or you can just like have people raise up their hand. Like allocate them password, or you can make them in order. Or like you can just like people can raise their hand and like just have people go over and check their.
I'm pretty sure it's just be, or not.